why don't we start with Carlos? Why don't you start with the reading that you were going to do, and then we'll, sort of backfill it when Amy and
Okay,
Haki
I'll
get
do
into
that.
it.
Thank you. Hey, everyone. Thank you for, first of all, tuning in tonight. And it's Thursday, isn't it? December 10th, 2020. I have to say the date because I'm learning that many documents that the poetry community have produced oftentimes fails to put the year of when they do something. They're good at the time, they're good at the day and the time and the location, but sometimes we don't put the year. And I'm doing that because I'm doing all this research. Now we know when it comes to David Hernandez, how many of you know that he may have been the first US Latino in Chicago to ever come out with a book of poetry? His book was called Waking Up in English, Despertando, and in Spanish. It came out in 1971. He told me the secret story behind it. I'll tell you what it is. He made friends with the janitor of the seminary, theological seminary over there on Halsted and Fullerton. And he became friends with this janitor there, who let him in at night to run off copies of his book on the early Xerox machine they had at that time. So he made that, and then he stapled it. And it was a chapbook. He had the price of 50 cents on it. And it came out, and that was the first book of poetry I ever bought from a person of Latino heritage. So Despertando, I'm sure if anybody has a copy of that book, it's probably worth something now, as is some of the, especially the early documents. And of course, many people are familiar with David Hernandez when he got published with Tia Chucha Press, with Rooftop Piper, and he had a few other publications as well. We know that David passed away the 25th of February of 2013, and he was inducted there in the Hall of Fame, in the Literary Hall of Fame, in 2014. I basically can say that he mentored me in many ways, and I saw him really for the first time just before he started his street sounds. I saw David for the first time, and I want to tell you where I saw him. Lincoln and Montana, if you know the area. There used to be a little corner cafe called, we used to refer to it as Patsy's Greasy Spoon. And they had poetry readings there on Friday nights. And for the price of a cup of coffee, there was no entry. And I saw David walk in, accompanied by two lovely Puerto Rican women, and they were carrying bongos under their arms. And David, this was, I guess, before Street Sounds, and they were with him playing the bongos, not congas, but bongos, and he proceeded to rap out a poem. And after I heard him, I was like, man, who is this guy? That was my first experience. And of course, many of us knew him. The poem I'm sharing tonight is called The Day Chicago Blew Up. Some of you know it. It's from his book, Rooftop Piper. When the city accidentally blows up because Mrs. O'Leary's great-great-grandson, Michael, was taking a morning lunch break by Lincoln Park instead of supervising the sewer system that had been backing up for days. The mushroom cloud explosion was observed by the surrounding burbs, towns, hamlets. All the natives smacked on the side of the head were miraculously unhurt and began praying, since they thought Star Wars had arrived and would presently die from nuclear fallout. So all the ethnics forgot their cultural differences, stopped competing for the next Summerfest, and began sharing recipes instead. Cops began to really serve and protect outside their fellow cops. Politicians shredded all evidence against them, attempted to live within their real salaries, and felt they were starving to death. Suburbanites no longer feared of being mugged by some pointed-toed shoe, black leather-dressed Chicagoan. Chicagoans were no longer afraid of being killed and buried in a forest-preserved shallow grave by some college-educated, psychotic, mass-murdering suburbanite. religions came together, amended their doctrines, and allowed God to come in. The Salvation Army went on a diet and allowed non-white people into their ranks. The Art Institute and LaSalle Truck and Diesel School admitted they were using the same curriculum. Health food stores felt guilty and began feeding the hungry with profits made from selling organically grown, puny-looking apples at $10 a pound. Cab drivers knew exactly where to go on the shortest route available. Dope dealers and doctors admitted they were one and the same and promised not to do it again. Rich people distributed their wealth, poor people distributed their poverty, and the middle class went crazy because they no longer held a monopoly on moaning and blaming and bitching about taxes. But finally, blacks, whites, Asians, Native Americans, Hispanics, Jews, and Gentiles approved interracial marriages, and their offsprings all look just like Puerto Ricans. David Hernandez. Que viva David. All right. Thank you. All right.
Thank you, Carlos.
All
so,
right.
Don, what did I miss?
You missed a filibuster.
I was doing my hair.
I briefly introduced you, said great things about you, and said that we were waiting on you and Haki, and then Carlos did his poem. I also announced, and so everybody, we have just got our first couple of donations that go toward the $1,200. So if you want to donate, DG Evans at ChicagoLiteraryHOF.org is the best way to send me an email, but you can also send me something in a private chat. So now Amy is going to take over as our host.
Thanks, guys, for bearing with me. My gosh, my name is Amy Danzer, and I'm honored to be your host this evening. And Don, did you talk a little bit about the Chicago Classic series and like what that's all about?
I did not.
Okay, so maybe we'll just give you a little background. Let me just fast forward in my notes here. Doing things a little out of order. Years ago, Randy Albers, when he was running Story Week Festival of Writers, he was looking for something kind of new and fresh to invigorate the festival. Not that it needed any kind of invigorating, but he was just always looking for something fresh. And so one night, he and a good friend and the voice of Chicago, Rick Cogan, were in the Billy Goat Tavern. And he asked his friend, Rick, if he had any ideas. And Rick didn't hesitate. And he said, I get a whole bunch of people together, writers, actors, politicians, bus drivers, whoever. And I'd have them each read their favorite half page of a Chicago book. Randy jumped on the idea, and for a very long time, Rick hosted such an event in connection with the festival. Fast forward to 2020, with Randy Albers now serving as the president of the Chicago Literary Hall of Fame, we've resurrected Chicago Classics. And during the pandemic, we've redubbed it the series Chicago Quarantine Classics. We've moved the readings online and have been inviting people to create videos, which you can find on our website and Facebook. And if any of you at home are interested in participating in this as well, you're welcome to contact Don Evans. Don, did you give everybody your email address?
I did, yes.
It doesn't hurt to give it again. It's it's dgevans at ChicagoLiteraryHOF.org. So that's the little backstory on Chicago Quarantine Classics. And our next reader, should we just go ahead and invite Toya to read? We're still waiting on Haki. I'm just going to read something from Gwendolyn Brooks' Maud Martha, one of my favorite books, published by Third World Press. Toya Wolfe was born and raised in the now demolished Robert Taylor homes on Chicago's South Side. She earned an MFA in creative writing from Columbia College with a Dwight W. Follett Merit Award and has been invited to the Ragdale and Yaddo Foundations for writing residencies. Her stories have appeared in African Voices, Chicago Journal, Chicago Reader, Hair Trigger 27, Monocle Travel Guide, Verses and Vignettes, and Warpland, a journal of Black literature and ideas. She is the recipient of the Zora Neale Hurston Bessie Head Fiction Award, the Union League Civic and Arts Foundation Short Story Competition, and the Betty Shiflett John Schultz Short Story Award. Landmarks is her forthcoming debut novel, and let's give her a warm welcome.
I can hear the applause. All right. So my name is Toya Wolfe. I am a writer from Chicago. As Amy stated, I grew up in the Robert Taylor homes, but sort of the bigger community outside of Robert Taylor is Bronzeville. And I grew up in Bronzeville in the 80s and 90s. So I've always been attracted to the work of Gwendolyn Brooks. This evening, I'll be sharing a few selections from Maud Martha. And I think this book, it feels so much like home. She writes about the streets that I'm familiar with, the theaters, the kind of housing that's always been pretty prevalent in Bronzeville. And a lot of people are familiar with We Real Cool or The Bean Eaters, or even In the Mecca, which is a very long poem about the Mecca Flats. The Mecca Flats were the first sort of high-rise project on State Street. So reading Gwendolyn Brooks, it just feels like my personal history. So as long as I am alive and writing, she will always inspire me. So I'll read two selections from Maud Martha. And also it's an auction item, as some of you already know. So let's get into it. The first selection will be Description of Maud Martha. What she liked was candy buttons and books and painted music, deep blue or delicate silver, and the wet sky so altering, viewed from the steps of the back porch, and dandelions. She would have liked a lotus or China asters or the Japanese iris or meadow lilies. Yes, she would have liked meadow lilies because the very word meadow made her breathe more deeply and either fling her arms or want to fling her arms, depending on who was by, rapturously up to whatever was watching in the sky. But dandelions were what she chiefly saw, yellow jewels for every day, studding the patched green dress of her backyard. She liked their demure prettiness, second to their everydayness, for in that latter quality, she thought she saw a picture of herself. And it was comforting to find what was common could also be a flower and could be cherished. To be cherished was the dearest wish of the heart of Maud Martha Brown. And sometimes when she was not looking at dandelions, for one would not be looking at them all the time, often there were chairs and tables to dust or tomatoes to slice or beds to make or grocery stores to be gone to. And in the colder months, there were no dandelions at all. It was hard to believe that a thing of only ordinary allurements, if the allurements of any flower could be ordinary, was as easy to love as a thing of heart-catching beauty. Such as her sister Helen, who was only 2 years past her own age of 7 and was almost her own height and weight and thickness. But oh, the long lashes, the grace, the little ways with the hands and feet. All right, and then I will share one more, and it's called At the Regal. If we were sort of together right now, I would say, raise your hand if you've ever heard of the Regal or been to the Regal. But for those of you who don't know, the Regal Theater was this big, beautiful theater on the South Side. If you've ever been to the Chicago Theater, it was just as lush and just as important. And for as long as I can remember, my mother and grandmother, they all have stories about the Regal Theater, about how Nat King Cole sang there, and Ella Fitzgerald, Louis Armstrong, and Miles Davis. This was a special, special place. And so when I ran across this piece at the Regal, it was great to just sort of have this history sort of locked in. So this is at the Regal. The applause was quick and the silence final. That was what Martha, 16 and very erect, believed as she manipulated herself through a heavy, outflowing crowd in the lobby of the Regal Theater on 47th and South Park. She thought of fame and of that singer, that Howie Joe Jones, that tall, oily brown thing with hair set in thickly pomaded waves, with cocky teeth, eyes like thin glass, with a voice. That Howie Joe's publicly described as rugged honey. She had not been favorably impressed. She had not been able to thrill. Not even when he threw his head back so that his waves dropped low, shut his eyes sweetly, writhed, thrust out his arms, really gave them to the world, and thundered out with passionate seriousness, with deep meaning, and with high purpose. Sweet soul. Maud Martha's brow wrinkled. The audience had applauded, had stamped its strange, hilarious foot, had put its fingers to its mouth, whistled, had sped a shininess up to its eyes. But now part of it was going home, as she was, and its face was dull again. It had not been helped, not truly, not well. For a hot half hour, it had put that light gauze across its miseries and monotonies. But now here they were again, ungauzed, self-assertive, cankerous as ever. The audience had gotten a fairy gold, and it was not going to spend the rest of its life or even the rest of the night being grateful to Howie Joe Jones. No, it would not make plans to raise a hard monument to him. She swung out of the lobby, turned north. The applause was quick, but the silence was final. So what was the singer's profit? Money? You had to admit, Howie Joe Jones was making money. Money that was raced to the track, to the Delisa, to women, to the sellers of cars, to Capper and Capper, to Henry C. Lytton and Company for those suits in which he looked like an upright corpse. She read all about it in the columns of the Chicago Defender's gossip departments. She had never understood how people could parade themselves on a stage like that, exhibit their precious private identities, shake themselves about the very foolish for 1,000 eyes. She was going to keep herself to herself. She did not want fame. She did not want to be a star. To create a role, a poem, picture, music, a rapture in stone, great, but not for her. What she wanted was to donate to the world a good Maud Martha. That was the offering, the bit of art that could not come from any other. She would polish and hone that. Thank you.
Oh, Toya, that was fantastic. Third World Press, didn't they just release a new iteration of that book? I think for
and what's funny is while I was at Columbia undergrad, I interned at Third World Press, so I was swimming in all the Maryland brooks.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's so excellent. Well, thank you for that. And Don, where are we at with the online the donation match?
So we are halfway to our $1,200 goal. So quickly got halfway there. So thank you for everybody that's donated already. And I am going to step away while you are introducing the first live auction. You can turn it over to Brian and Elizabeth. I should say that I didn't do a proper job of introducing Carlos. We were trying to adjust on the fly. I should have been more effusive about what a wonderful poet and publisher and editor and literary man he is. But I think people saw that from his reading and his tribute to David Hernandez. So I'll step away. I'll call Haki. Haki, I must say, is one of the most reliable, dependable people that I know. So I'm only guessing he's having technical trouble, so I'm going to give him a call real quick. Okay?
All right, thanks, John. All right, and you know what? I just want to take a quick minute also just to talk a little bit about the mission of the Chicago Literary Hall of Fame. You know, what we really, you know, just say a little something about who we are and what we do. Mostly what we do is we try to honor and preserve Chicago's incredibly rich literary voices in Chicago, and we do this through educational programming, Lifetime Achievement Awards, exhibits, and special events. And Don's not muted. Like our annual Hall of Fame induction ceremony. And the money we raise tonight and throughout the year helps cover the costs of these initiatives. I'm not sure if Don mentioned that the online auction is still open through the stroke of midnight tonight. And if you haven't yet had a chance to take a look at the auction items that are listed there, I encourage you to do so. They're really fun. You can bid on a virtual Hungarian Gypsy tarot reading with Rebecca Mackay, a one-year membership to the Chicago Writers Association, and admission to their writing conference, a framed portrait of Gwendolyn Brooks by Dmitry Samarov. It's gorgeous. It's actually in my condo right now. I don't want it to go, so I might have to take you down. But there are books and cookbooks, posters, puzzles, charcuterie boards, you name it. So take a look at that. Again, it's open until midnight tonight. And it looks like Haki is with us. Yay!
Yeah, I just couldn't, I don't know what the problem was. I just couldn't get in.
It happened to me also. Don't even sweat it. We're in the same boat.
Good.
So I'm going to go ahead and introduce our newest and very special guest, Dr. Haki Ar Madaguti. He is an award-winning and leading poet and one of the architects of the Black arts movement. Publisher, editor, educator, activist. He's a pivotal figure in the arts, letters, education, and the protracted liberatory struggle of Black people. Professor Madhubuti has published over 32 books, some under his former name, Don L. Lee, and he's one of the world's best-selling authors of poetry and nonfiction. His book, Black Men, Obsolete, Single, Dangerous, The African-American Family in Transition, has more than 1 million copies in print, and his poetry and essays have been published in more than 100 anthologies and journals between 1997 and 2020. His distinguished teaching career includes faculty positions at Columbia College of Chicago, Cornell University, University of Illinois at Chicago, Howard University, Oregon State University, and University of Iowa. Professor Madhubuti founded Third World Press in 1967, is a founder of the Institute of Positive Education, New Concept School, and a co-founder of Betty Shabazz International Charter School and Barbara A. Sizemore Middle School. His latest book, Taught by Women, Poems as Resistance Language, New and Selected, pays homage to an array of women who have influenced him and contributed to his 5-decade career of publishing Black writers and contributing to a strong Black literary tradition. He is also one of the Chicago Literary Hall of Fame's Fuller Lifetime Achievement Award winners. Please welcome Professor Haki Ar Madaguti.
I am so happy to be here.
Us too.
Don Evans, I guess came to me about, 8 or 9 years ago, I'm not too sure. We had founded the Literary Hall of Fame for Writers of African Descent at Chicago State University. And so we had some knowledge about Hall of Fame. And when he mentioned that he wanted to, do the Chicago Literary Hall of Fame, I looked at him like he had lost his mind, all right? Because I didn't see nobody but Don Evans. I felt that you're gonna need some help, brother. You're gonna need some serious help because this is not easy. And so now we're in 2020 and it's a success. And look at the group he has working with him tonight. All wonderful people, all people who are serious about literature, serious about reading. And so I'm just honored to be here with these few remarks, because in honoring writers, we honor ourselves. And that you cannot grow as a society, you cannot maintain democracy if you don't have readers. And writers who the Chicago Literary Hall of Fame honors essentially keeps us in that whole democracy fight. So we honor readers. And there is no intellectual society that's critical without readers. And without writers who essentially, you know, like the Gwendolyn Brooks and like the Stud Sterkles, you know, we needed these people to bring us to this point. And so our honoring and basically supporting the Chicago Literary Hall of Fame is critical for our own continued livelihood as intelligent men and women. And so I'm here primarily encouraging, almost begging these men and women out there who's joining us tonight to support us, to basically make your contributions, do the bidding. And I'm just going to read one short poem and end this. Art saved my life, okay? Literature, visual art, music, dance, theater. So art is a prodigious and primary energy force. Children's active participation in music, dance, painting, poetry, and film, photography, and the indigenous crafts of their people is what makes them whole, significantly human, secure in their own skin, culture, and abilities, thus generating in them unlimited possibility. If you don't know who you are, anybody can name you. And so therefore, our indulgence into our study of our own culture starts with reading, starts with literature, starts with the men and women that we're honoring tonight and that the Chicago Literary Hall of Fame is here for. So let's come on out for tonight, and thank you for allowing me to say these few words.
Thank you. Oh my gosh. That was really great. We're so honored to have you here.
Thank you.
All right, next we are going to move into the final segment of our evening. It is our live auction with a little splash of trivia hosted by celebrity guests, Elizabeth Gomez and Brian Hieggelke. Hey! Elizabeth Gomez is a writer for hire, comedian, and founder of Chicago's first all-female roller derby league. During the day, she works for a member of Chicago City Council and debates on what to eat for lunch. She is a queer woman of color who has raised 2 human beings. Elizabeth has been on WBEZ, WGN Radio, and numerous podcasts. She was also on Check Please, so she is basically Chicago famous now. Elizabeth has been on many Chicago stages, including Steppenwolf, Stage 773, and Prop Theater. She has taught storytelling and empowerment workshops at Latin School Chicago, North Park University, near where Toya and I live, and Horizon Science Academy. For 2 years, she emceed and traveled for several events for the National Queer Asian Pacific Islander Alliance, including their national convention in San Francisco. Most recently, Elizabeth published a story about what it's like to work at an alderman's office in Chicago Magazine. Check her out there. You can follow her on TikTok, which is a gas, or Instagram at Wanna Rumble, and check out her podcast Wokefield on Spotify and iTunes. We also have with us Brian Hagelkey. He is the founder, president, and CEO of New City, the publication of record for Chicago culture, my former boss, described as a civic treasure, confirmed, and one of the most respected media minds in town. Hieggelke has written about media, politics, running, books, film, art, music, food, fashion, theater, and dance. Another Renaissance man here. His plays have been produced by American Blues Theater, and his weekly media column, Press Release, was awarded the Peter Liziger Award for Exemplary Journalism. In 2014, Brian and his wife Jan launched a sister film production and boutique distribution company, Chicago Film Project. The Chicago Film Project's film, Signature Move, awesome film, world premiered at the South by Southwest and played more than 150 festivals worldwide, winning numerous awards, including the Grand Jury Prize for Best U.S. Narrative Feature at Outfest. The Chicago Film Project's second film, Jennifer Reeder's Knives and Skin, in 2019, world premiered at Berlinale before playing at Tribeca, Deauville, Fantasia, Fantastic Fest, Chicago International Film Festival, and AFI. Their third feature, Hugh Schultz' Dreaming Grand Avenue, made its world premiere in September 2020. And that played at the Music Box. We watched that in our living room. Live streamed that baby. Hagelkey has completed 7 Chicago marathons and 1 in New York, and has made extensive public appearances from Chicago to Iceland on matters related to media and digital publishing, design, and culture. He has been featured in hundreds of magazine and newspaper interviews around the country. Let's please give Elizabeth and Brian a round of applause and welcome everybody to the live auction and trivia portion.
Oh my God, Amy, that was, wow. I sounded really impressive, but Brian 100% was more impressive than me. Like, who can run that many Brian, tell us about this marathon thing. I can't even believe that you would run half a block. I would not, I won't even walk to the Walgreens. It's 2 blocks away.
It was just a midlife crisis. Or I should just say I just made it all up. It's fake news. You know, it's like, who cares? I made stuff up. I didn't do any of that stuff.
You're just like, this is totally fake. I just want to sound really cool.
Yeah.
I will have to say, Amy, thank you so much for having us. I'm very excited to be here. After listening to everyone speak, I definitely feel like you had no idea who you asked to do this, because I don't belong in this group. For sure. Like, the last book I read was the Dirt, which is the Motley Crue biography, and the only reason I read that was because I tried to convince my mom that I should never go to college. I was like, I don't want to finish high school, and I don't want to go to college. I want to become like a video vamp and just ride Motley Crue on their tour bus. I just want to be, that's what I want to do. All right, everyone, this is so great. I'm glad to see you guys, Brian and I, here to do some trivia and have some fun with you. We're going to start with trivia and then move into the auction, which I think is going to be the most exciting and fun part. I will handle most of the trivia. Brian, I think, is going to handle most of the auction. Are you guys ready to go? I can hear you.
Let's do it.
Yay.
Yay. So we're going to start. I'm going to actually post the questions into the chat so that everyone can see it. And everybody who answers, I think we're going to have the first person who answers correctly will win a prize. Each question has a different prize situation. And then we're going to also add a bonus question for the winner. So whoever wins, we're going to be like, hey, we've got an additional question for you, because we like to make things hard. Okay. So the first question is, this poet, inducted as part of the Chicago Literary Hall of Fame's second class in 2011, lobbied for poetry to be included as part of the opening events of the 1893 World Columbian Exposition. As a result, she received a paid commission to write Commemoration Ode. Name that poet. I'm going to put it right here in the chat. First person to respond will win. And what you're going to win is going to be a set of Dmitry Samarov card sets, which are going to be in honor of the Chicago Literary Hall of Fame, obviously. And you can just pop that answer right in there. Brian, when I was doing this, some research on this, I had read on her Wikipedia page, because that's how I do research. But I couldn't find a YouTube. So the thing that I thought was most striking about her page was that she wrote that they wrote in 1889. This particular person had realized that poetry does not pay.
Well, you know, I'm actually old enough to have known her personally, but no. Yeah.
How old is that, Brian?
You know, But
Oh, look, we already have a winner. Yes, Cynthia Gallagher. Congratulations, you are our winner. But I do have a bonus question for you. Are you ready for this? The bonus question, which is also going to give you a $25 book table gift card. Support your local bookstores, everyone. The extra credit question is, can you name the magazine she founded? Yes, good job, Albert. But that was Cynthia got it. Cynthia got it, which is the person she was supposed to answer. But thank you guys for chipping in.
So a fun fact, as you probably read on Wikipedia, is that poetry ultimately did pay very well. She was long gone when this happened, but I don't know, 10, 15 years ago, the Eli Lilly Foundation or Ruth Lilly or somebody gave over $100 million to that magazine and turned it into it's got to be the biggest poetry institution in the world, I would think. And
they did not mention that in the Wikipedia page. As a matter of fact, they just made it sound like she just died poor.
Yeah, well, she might have, but she just didn't. It's like Van Gogh, like they don't, like they get rich after they're dead,
That's very sad news to me. I mean, I'm just trying.
That's my long game,
Right, that one day you'll die and you'll have some money.
Yeah, exactly. I'm banking on it.
Our next question, and this is tied into something earlier. Hint, hint. This unofficial poet laureate of Chicago, inducted into the Chicago Literary Hall of Fame in 2014, performed at Harold Washington's mayoral inauguration in 1987, Washington's funeral, and Chicago's. I practice this all day. It's so hard to say. Sesquicentennial. Can you say that word, Brian? Sesquicentennial.
Sesquicentennial.
Sesquicentennial. He founded a band in 1971 in order to reach a bigger audience, do more festivals, and make poetry more accessible to people and not intimidating in a way that it was. So to basically break down the barriers, to say that poetry belongs to everyone, not just a few people. So that is the question. And now if you guys can name that poet.
I'm old enough to. I actually did see him live. In the early days of the Printers Row Book Fair, he would perform with this group, and they were amazing. I mean, really just amazing. It's a real, it was a real thing.
I did some research about him too, and I was really very impressed. I thought, have you ever had those moments where you have a friend and your friend is like, hey, you want to come see my band? And then you're like, absolutely not. I don't want to see your band. I don't want to see anyone's band. And I was like, this guy he's got jams. He's got jams. Oh, we've got a winner. Albert Di Genova. Did I pronounce that correct? David Hernandez is the answer to that question. And you have now won that. You've won a Krista August card set with illustrations of various Lincoln Park statues, as well as a signed copy of our guidebook of the Lincoln Park statues, which is called Giants in the Park, and an activity book for kids. So that's exciting. Albert, are you ready for the next question? This is going to be your extra credit question that is going to also give you another or a $25 book table gift card. Can you name David Hernandez's band? David, sorry. Yes. Albert, you got it. You got it. Oh, that's exciting. You guys are moving so fast on this. This is very fun. All right. Our last question and our final question before we start this auction. I also want to remind you guys that tonight we have the dollar for dollar match on our donations. So, if you don't get to win a prize today, you could still give us money. This author's most popular novel, which sold 47,000 copies in its first 3 weeks, included protagonist Nick Romano saying the line, "Live fast, die young, and leave a good-looking corpse." Name this 2014 Chicago Literary Hall of Fame inductee. There we go. I also want to tell you guys, it's not Nelson Algren. I do also want to tell you guys that I have to be really super honest that I read this quote and I've heard this quote a million times, and I didn't know the answer to this question, but I was like, if I saw this guy on Tinder, I would probably swipe right. I will tell you, he probably would not swipe right. He'd be like, swipe left. She's like a divorced mother with 2 kids and an attitude problem. Okay, I'm gonna tell you guys the quote again. Live fast, die young, and leave a good-looking corpse. Brian, do you think you could answer that question? Not Saul Bellow.
No, I probably couldn't, but I did know him. No, I'm kidding.
Does anyone know it?
Dang, we stumped him.
I know, it's very exciting.
You wrote, for somebody who doesn't read books, you wrote some really good questions.
I didn't write them. They were given to me. My questions would be like, Vince Neil's kid died at what age? Oh, we do have an answer from Hannah Jennings. Hannah says Willard Motley, and she is correct.
Excellent.
So she also gets a set of the Dmitry Samarov cards. And if Hannah can answer this question, Hannah, if you can answer this question, you can also get a $25 gift card to Book Table. Can you name the novel from that quote? Hannah's got the name. Let's see if she's the novel. Yeah, I don't see her. No, not The Defender. Try one more time. Also, you guys, Margaret Flynn is the person who donated all the Book Table gift cards. So thank you, Margaret, so much. We appreciate those. All right. Yes, that's it, Hannah. She got it. $25 gift card. Everyone support your local bookstores. Brian, are you ready for the auction?
I am ready. It's a live auction, everybody. So just, raise your paddle or show your hand. No, I'm kidding. Don't do that. What you need to do is put your bid into the chat, and then we'll be somebody who can read the chat, because I got this and it's like too much, will help us kind of understand how we're doing. And we have 3 items, and we'd like to start the bidding on each of them at $50. Is that correct? 50? Is that where we're going to start? Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
And
I mean, we could start higher if people are willing to do higher.
Yeah, I mean, I think it should be a lot more, but that's fine. Just hopefully there'll be a lot of bids, and it'll go way up. So the first item, I mean, I want to buy all of them, but I can't because of conflict of interest. I rigged this auction. So, we get enough trouble with rigged things right now, right? So the first item is really cool. It's a chance to have the award-winning author Vu Tran give you a 1-hour virtual cooking lesson on how to make chicken pho. Did I say that right? Is that right?
That is correct.
That is right. Okay.
That is correct. Yes, because I use
my Wikipedia. Okay.
Yeah, I use my trusty Wikipedia. Well, there's a little sound button now.
Excellent. So according to the information I was given, that this offer comes at a great risk to Vu because his mother might just kill him for sharing a family recipe. And you'll also get an autographed copy of his novel, Dragonfish. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit more about him, but I think you should start bidding now if you haven't, $50 or better. And I'll give you a little bit more of a biography, and then we'll do play the theme song and all that kind of stuff while everyone bids. His first novel is Dragonfish, which was a New York Times notable book of 2015 and a San Francisco Chronicle book of the year. He is one of the winners of a Whiting Award, and his short stories have appeared in publications like the O. Henry Prize Stories, the Best American Mystery Stories. He was born in Vietnam and raised in Oklahoma, like I was. No, I'm kidding. Vu received his MFA from the Iowa Writers Workshop and his PhD from the Black Mountain Institute at the University of Nevada, Las Vegas. He is currently an assistant professor of practice in creative writing at the University of Chicago. So again, bid. How are we doing? We're
doing so good. We're already at $80, Brian, and I think it's just because you're very charming. Oh, and it looks like you guys, it does include a cooking lesson. I don't know if we emphasize that hard enough, but it does include a cooking lesson. I don't know if you've ever been to the chopping block in Lincoln Square, but they charge a lot more than $80 to have a cooking lesson.
And it's not a novelist who is from the country of the origin of the food. I mean, it's like, yeah, this is unreal. I mean, honestly,
yeah, it's a no-brainer.
It's a once in a lifetime kind of thing. I mean, it's not, this is.
We got 90.
This is something really special, really special.
Yes, $90 for this book. I mean, you guys, the book, the cooking lesson, I think Brian's point about how it's like a family secret recipe. His life could be in danger. You know, my mom is Korean, and if I ever gave out her Korean, like her kimchi recipe, which includes a sweet and low, weird, totally weird, she would be very upset, and I don't think that I'd want to sell it for $80. Oh, we got $95, Brian.
We got to get
$95.
You know, I know that you'll share that recipe as soon as your first novel comes out, so we can do the package deal, right?
It'll just be about me and Tommy Lee and some kimchi.
Me and Tommy Lee and kimchi. You know, I think.
Oh my God, that is a great title. We've got $95, you guys. Can we get it up to $100? I think we can. It's only $5 more, and what's being bidded on now for a private cooking lesson and a book and time with Vu.
I can't even imagine. You know, I can't even imagine. I mean, I think about it like, you know, I don't know if you cook, but I cook. I read cookbooks and stuff, and part of the fun of it is the immersion into the culture that you're doing while you're doing it. And let's just say not everybody is a New York Times notable novelist in those that are writing these cookbooks. I mean, a lot of them are written with crayons. You know, it's like this is good stuff. This is going to be like I said, a once in a lifetime kind of opportunity to learn about the culture of Vietnam while you're enjoying the cuisine.
Did you, we've got $100. We've got $100.
All right.
That's very exciting. You guys, this is $100 for a book, a cooking lesson from someone from Vietnam. It's one of my favorite Vietnamese dishes. I don't know who doesn't love pho. And I mean, I'm a huge fan. And I've actually tried to make it. That broth is very difficult. So I'm saying we've got $100. Is $100 going once, Brian?
I think so.
$100 going twice?
Yeah.
Come on, guys. A little bit more than 100?
Come on. Yeah. All right. Sold for $100. All right.
Yay. Thank you so much.
Okay. I'm exhausted, and we got 2 more things to do. So the next one is a great friend to the literary world as well. Tony Fitzpatrick's poster, The Heart of Chicago. It's autographed and framed. I'm going to stop right there because everybody knows who Tony Fitzpatrick is and how valuable this is. So please start your bids at $50 while I tell the rest of you a little bit about Tony. He is a Chicago-based artist, best known for his multimedia collages, printmaking, paintings, and drawings. His work is inspired by Chicago street culture, cities he has traveled to, children's books, tattoo designs, and folk art. And birds. I don't know who wrote this, but birds. Tony Fitzpatrick has always been inspired by birds. He has authored or illustrated 8 books of art and poetry, and for the last several years has written a column for New City, that's our magazine, called Dime Stories, which also became a book, which is a really fine book of his column, his artwork. His art appears in the Museum of Modern Art in New York City, the Museum of Contemporary Art in Chicago, the National Museum of American Art in Washington, D.C. He's done a lot of work with musicians. The Neville Brothers album, Yellow Moon, was his artwork, the cover. And I have that on vinyl. Back in those days when you got vinyl, those were little, like little posters in and of themselves.
Those are back.
Yeah, I know. Well,
the kids love them. They love them.
You can't hang a Spotify song on your wall, right? It's like nothing, it's like not the same thing. He also Steve Earl, who's a good friend of his. He's done El Corazon and The Revolution Starts Now. He's done those. So Tony is, and actually I wrote this thing for New City several years about him. I called him the natural heir in Chicago to Studs Terkel. And just consider, this is what Tony does, okay? So he's a visual artist with all those museums. He's done all these books of poetry, right? He's also been a radio host, a bartender, a boxer, a construction worker, and a film and stage actor. And in fact, he stars in our new movie, Dreaming Grand Avenue, as the Dream Detective, and he's very good. I mean, he is.
Is that your film? Because I actually talked to Tony recently.
Yes.
Because he has business, his gallery is in the ward that I work in, and he mentioned that he was going to be in a film, and I was like, "That's a film."
And that's a film full of poetry. But we're not here to advertise my things. But he
or are we?
Exactly. Well, that's of course.
Brian, we're at 220 for this. So keep telling them about Tony.
Awesome.
They're loving it.
Oh yeah, I mean, he's amazing. Like, if you want to really have some fun, I mean, his political sensibilities are, left of. I can't figure how far left you can go because they're left of left. Like whatever you think is left, he's left of it. But he wrote some really hilarious stuff about the debates. He covered all the debates. He covered the Republican convention for us. I mean, he sat through that thing, which it was, it was, if anyone watched that, it was something. And Tony did it. I mean, he is really something special. And he's just a, his artwork, people love his art. I mean, you put it on your wall, people will talk about it. It's always going to be a conversation piece. So everybody should have his art in their home.
He's awesome. He's a great Chicago personality. He's done like public artworks throughout the city. I know that he wanted at one point to do some murals, and I thought that was awesome if he did a mural in the city because of the fact that it's just such a beautiful voice. And I think you're right. Like his work is amazing. We are at 3:45, everyone, and this includes a custom frame job, right? Am I right? Brian, is there a frame situation?
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's framed and signed. I guess that's custom. I don't know. Let's call it custom. I mean,
I have more posters that just hang out on my tables because I have no way to hang them, or like I put things on the wall because I'm with like pins because I'm just like I don't know how much framing costs and I'm scared of it. It's
a thing. We've accumulated like little pieces of artwork over the years, mostly. By knowing artists and stuff, and they have, take pity on us and, give us things. And occasionally we, whatever. So we've, over the years, a few times had to get things framed, but it's like scary because, it's like, it's nice. I strongly like the pre-frame stuff. Like if I was going to go buy a piece of art, please let it be framed already. Because it's not even just the act of framing, but it's like, how, should this be like a white matting? Should the white mat, should it be a lot of the matting, or should there just be a little? Should it be a black? Should it be black matting? Should it be purple? Like all those decisions. And if you do them wrong, you kind of have to live with them forever, right? It's not like
100%.
Yeah.
And I also would say that it's a lot of commitment. Like once you pay $100 to get something framed, then you're committed to it because you're like, I have to have it. I paid $100 for it. I also am very afraid of commitment, which is why I've been married twice. You guys, we're at $380 for this print.
Okay, so we have to get 400. Come on.
Come on.
I mean, it's like we only traffic in even numbers. It's got to be round, lots. There's a scene in the movie with Tony Fitzpatrick. This
390.
Excellent. It relates to this a little bit. Where he's on the phone with the devil, and they're talking about betting, and they're going to bet about the devil's ability to get the soul of the main character. And, Tony's line is, because we don't see the devil, we just see him. And he's like, yeah, let's do 500. No, let's make it an even yard, $1,000, so it's got to be an even number. It's a Tony Fitzpatrick. And if you know him, he's a big guy, and we're going to, we could send him your way, and, it'd be trouble, Now he's actually such a generous and gentle human being, but he is a big guy, in a lot of movies, like he was in Married to the Mob, that classic film made by Jonathan Demme. He plays big thuggy guys, he played, he was in that phenomenal TV series called, somebody's already giving it to me, right? Patriot. Yeah, I know, Patriot. Great series. Sounds a little too Republican in title, unfortunately, which is probably why it only had 2 seasons. But it was an amazing series created by a Chicagoan. Tony played like the security guard. Like that was always his role. He's a big guy. But his art and his poetry and his sensibility are as gentle and soft and as could be.
It looks like, I was going to say, we're at 410. Looks like it's going to go to Michael Burke if someone doesn't step up right now and take it away from him. And, there's nothing I love more than to take something away from a man. So I would say definitely if you want to go out past 410, we're encouraging you to do so. This is very exciting. Again, I'm so glad we're here. And Brian, you've been a lot of fun. I cannot wait till we get to the next thing.
Oh, boy.
Should we call it at 410?
I think going once.
Going twice.
Gone.
Congratulations, Michael.
All right. Now we're really going to take a change of pace. And, you know, I don't know about you, but I'm kind of dying for something like this personally. And this is a weekend stay in a suite, a 1-bedroom suite on the lake in Lake Geneva at the Bella Vista Suites. It's complete, I think it will be as literary as you make it. You can bring poetry or not, where you can bring a novel, you can bring a few novels. You got a lot of catching up to do. So, like if you got this prize, you could bring, you'd have to bring this many books at least.
I was going to recommend The Dirt to whoever.
It is a classic. It is a classic.
I would be like, yes, this is a book for you.
I know.
Especially on a weekend away from the kids.
Yeah, it would be in the
crazy.
top 10 books of all time for sure. But anyway, so this is at the Bella Vista Suites. It's like a boutique hotel in Lake Geneva. And the winning bidder also gets a bottle of wine from Studio Winery and a gift certificate to a Tuscan Tavern and Grill. It's about a $475 value. So it's a Friday and Saturday night stay, but you could do a weeknight if you wanted to for whatever reason. If it's too busy or something for you, they're open to that. There's no blackout days, but you actually obviously have to make the reservation and make sure it's available because it is a boutique. So let's get those bids started. Are we?
I mean, Barry's into it. He's at 280. He's like, perfect. I got a Motley Crue book. I got dinner. I got wine. And I think it's going to be a good time. I will tell you a little bit. Near Lake Geneva, on your way to Lake Geneva, you could hit a small town. It's called Delavan. Delavan is a small town that used to be a circus town. And if you're looking for a moment with a carny, a carnival, maybe some circus training with elephants, this is the place to go. Lake Delavan was a big training city for circuses that went through the Midwest. Who knew? You're only seconds away when you go to Lake Geneva.
Yeah, well, Lake Geneva, I'm going to read, I was like, this is not enough information here. They gave us this, I don't know, like this is like no information. There's no New York Times notable. So I went to the website. This is the depth of research I did. And I copied and pasted this onto a piece of paper. So I'm going to read this while people are bidding because they'll learn a little bit more about this place.
I love it because we're at 300 now. I think it's going to keep going up when you tell your story.
It's Lake Geneva's best kept secret because that's a very fresh concept, right? No, but it's a luxury boutique hotel on the shores of the lake. Our central location makes it easy to stroll downtown and enjoy the small town charm of Lake Geneva with its first-class shopping, local dining, arts, antiques, and interesting history. I don't know if you've ever been to Lake Geneva, but I've, used to go there every once in a while. Day trip. I never actually stayed overnight there because other than this hotel, it's like the Wrigley family mansion. It's like $1 million a night or something. No, I mean, but the Lake Geneva is famous because that was where the robber barons of Chicago built their cottages, and they're kind of epic. It's pretty fun to ride on the lake and just point at them and, sort of.
The what barons? Brian?
The robber barons, the
robber barons.
Yeah, I don't know what.
I don't think I'm familiar with them.
Oh yeah, well,
I'll look it up on Wikipedia.
You're lucky. But in any case, it's a really fun place to go. The lake's wonderful. It's a great place to swim. The town is very charming. It's got fudge and ice cream shops because you always need those in a place like that.
Absolutely.
It's got much more. The boutiques are actually classy. It's a few steps above, say, Wisconsin Dells, if you're familiar with the world famous Wisconsin Dells. So here's some more. Stretch out in tranquil luxury in one of our 39 unique suites. So this is not, we're not talking about a huge place, but it's big enough that you don't have to be like entertaining the owner like a B&B sometimes where you're like, oh my God, now I have to entertain these people. I'm coming here to stay and get away. You get to unwind with your in-suite jacuzzi tub or take
what? It's like a Sybaris in Lake Geneva.
Well, it can be. Depends what book you bring, right?
That's true.
Or take advantage of our luxury amenities, including a sparkling indoor pool, relaxing whirlpool, exercise facility, Himalayan salt sauna, and Lakeview Spa. I don't know about you, but I love my home. It's great. And I've had a real lot of quality time with it the last, 8 months now? But this sounds pretty special. And I think whether you go like tomorrow, if you buy this and go like this weekend, or, wait till you can actually swim and, swim without a mask or whatever, I just think it's a really great prize. So how are we doing?
We're at 320. I think that when you said jacuzzi pool, people started to lose it. They were like, a jacuzzi pool in the suite,
tub,
pools up.
tub, it's like one of those that has all those.
Oh, a tub.
Yeah,
it's
not
still
a
fine.
A pool. There is a pool in the hotel, but
Yes. And I don't have a jacuzzi feature on my current bathtub. Do you?
I don't have a bathtub.
Oh.
That's too fancy. No, I do. But we don't.
You're just using a bucket, you're like Cardi B, just a bucket and a mop. No, I'm kidding.
Exactly. Whatever, Well, bath now. It's like, we're in the coronavirus pandemic. Like, why do you bathe? Why bathe? Right?
Exactly. I mean, I'm not even wearing pants right now. I mean, that's a big joke, right? Like all of our audience, I see you. All right. No pants. I see it. I saw you get that juice in your underwear. 325, right? 325. Right.
So come on, right. We got to do better than this, because it's worth like the value. Like if you were to go on and buy this and put this together, it's like $475. So like, somebody could arbitrage this thing and buy it and flip it on eBay or something. Come on, we got to. This is a fundraiser. We got to lift the funds, right?
Yes. Also, because look at what the Chicago Literary Hall of Fame does, right? They provide programming for young people. We like young people. I am a parent, and I am saying I like young people. That's a big stretch. So they provide that. They're giving out awards. They have, I was looking today at their, they have a tour. You can do a whole tour thing that's coming up. I'm excited about that, where they have a map where you can see all the things that are, what was it? Gwendolyn Brooks' home, and I forgot. Gosh, my memory's so bad. My wine is not as big as yours, Brian.
I know. See,
but my memory's shorter.
The thing about it is, when I think about the Literary Hall of Fame, it's like this city's literary history is so robust and influential. It's so vital, and it's actually, and this is something I can speak from experience because I'm super old and I've been doing what I do for a long time. But when we started New City, there was like, there were like 3 writers in Chicago. It was kind of nothing, it was like,
right.
It was pretty small. I mean, I'm exaggerating a little bit. Now there's like 300,000, like it's so big. So as soon as y'all die, it's, there's gonna be a lot of people. It's gonna be hard to get in the Literary Hall of Fame, because that's one of the things is that it doesn't honor living authors, which I think is good, because it'd be, it'd be super political and kind of like, I don't know. It'd be like a fraternity rush or something, right? Or sorority rush, if the Literary Hall of Fame was for currently alive writers. I think that, right? Or is it
a bunch of bros?
Like the Baseball Hall of Fame, Don? I don't know. Is it like if you've retired for 5 years, can you get in? Who retires as a writer, though, right? A few people.
No, I mean, as we've established, you have to die to be like a valuable writer.
Yeah, exactly. And so I think, it's just at the beginning of its greatness. Like this is going to be such a thing. Think about it, when all these writers that we love today that are from Chicago, we're not going to name them because not all of them will ever die. Some might never. But when they die over these years, this Hall of Fame for like, the year 2100 is going to be amazing. It's already great, but it's going to be, because it's going to be so much more diverse and inclusive. That's the real change. A lot of the early writers in Chicago that were famous, well, most of them were white men, but that has, that's shifting. It's a whole different thing now. So I don't know, how are we doing? Are we done?
We're at 360. M. Flynn is at 360. Does anyone want to take it? Jacuzzi tub, possible pool.
Bottle of wine.
Yeah.
Right?
There's also great golfing in Lake Geneva. I've heard this. If you don't have a car, you can get there by metro.
Really?
Yeah. And I also personally have biked to Lake Geneva on my own.
What?
So it takes a long time. That's it. I think so you guys, we're going at 360. We're going once.
Going twice.
We're sold.
All right.
And Flynn, you get it. Thank you guys so much. How exciting. So everyone's going to reach out to Don to get to like claim your prizes, to deal with all the money stuff. But in the meantime, thank you all for coming. Thank you, Brian, for being my co-host. You've been great.
Thank
and
you.
I hope we get to hang out sometime.
Absolutely, you know.
Not for a run though. Not for a run.
Oh, I bike to Lake Geneva when I feel like it. Come on, you're a ringer, you know.
I know, such a little sneaky person. So I'm gonna hand it back over to Amy. Amy, you're on.
Thank you, guys. You're amazing, both of you, and just gorgeous, fun people. I want to just take 1 second just to thank all of our presenters tonight, Haki, Carlos, Toya, Brian, Elizabeth. You guys are just tremendous. This is just such a fun event and just beautiful readings. I want to thank all of the writers and artists and friends of the Hall of Fame who donated so graciously to the organization. And this isn't just me, this is on behalf of the entire board of directors for the Hall of Fame. Speaking of, I also want to thank the board of directors, Barry Benson, Mary Lavoni, Jarrett Neal, Bio, Ojakutu, Roberta Rubin, David Stern, and our president, Randy Albers, and Don Evans, our founder and executive director. You guys have all been so incredibly supportive to make this thing happen. A big shout out also to Allison Manley and John Barnacle, Emily Winkler, Anna Carolina Jorge. It takes a team to make it all happen. We want to thank all of you at home also for participating. It wouldn't have been anything without you guys participating and donating. This has been really helpful and really fun. Be safe, take care of each other, have a great holiday season, as great as you can for the time being. And we look forward to seeing you in the new year.